Pokemon fan games and ROM hacks are nothing new. I've even dabbled in it myself. While Nintendo is very strict with infringement on their intellectual properties, most ROM hacks fly under the radar, partially because they don't usually get much traction, and partially due to the sheer amount of them. To give each and every one of these people a cease and desist would be expensive and time consuming, so most of the time, Pokemon ROM hacks are in the clear, albeit without Nintendo's blessing. For those who don't know, a ROM hack is sort of like a fan game. In a ROM hack, you're taking the ROM of an existing Pokemon game and making changes to it. If you make a lot of these changes, for example, you change the map, change the characters, change the Pokemon, change the dialogue, you'll start to have something that resembles its own game. And that's what Pokemon Prism is. Prism version started as a ROM hack of Pokemon Gold version, although somewhere along the line it became a hack of Pokemon Crystal version. Pokemon Prism version began development somewhere around 2007 or 2008 most likely, by an online user named CoolBoyMan. However, the first substantial post about the game that I could find on PokeCommunity showed up in 2010, shortly after the completion of his previous project Pokemon Brown version. This first post announced the current state of the game would be revealed on Twitch. At this point, CoolBoyMan had likely been working on the game for 2 to 3 years, so a decent amount of the game was done. Up to 4 gyms were complete, although he admits the game had a few glitches. User CoolBoyMan has a number of posts between the reveal of Pokemon Prism version and the ultimate release of the game. One post that may be easy to gloss over, but I thought might be fairly significant, was on a topic by a user named Quickster. Quote, "What motivates you to hack, and why do you do it? I can't stick with hacking. There will be times that it's really fun, but then I start losing interest in it, and there goes my motivation. So tell me, what do you do to keep interest in hacking?" CoolBoyMan replies, "I work on Prism when I feel like it. I don't work on it when I don't feel like it. I once went 6 months without doing a single thing on Prism because I didn't feel like it." This may seem like a simple enough post, and well, it is, but it gives us a little bit of context and a very reasonable explanation as to why this game took about 9 years to make. When you're working on a Pokemon fan game or a ROM hack against the grace of Nintendo, it is 100% a hobby. You aren't getting paid to do it, and you have to do it in your spare time. I don't know how old this guy was in 2008. He could have had school or work or both. What I do know is these kinds of projects could take a really long time to make. So honestly, if he was doing most of the work on his own and trying to balance real life and Pokemon Prism version, and he was taking frequent breaks from the game, yeah, 9 years sounds like a pretty reasonable amount of time. And honestly, I'm just impressed that he finished such an ambitious project in addition to his other projects. CoolBoyMan seems to have provided some semi-regular updates showing off his progress on Pokemon Prism. People within the Pokemon ROM hacking community were well aware of this, but this game got huge when the official trailer released on YouTube. In 2016, a very polished, very competent trailer was released for Pokemon Prism version. It had features that the original Gen 2 games never had, and features that other ROM hacks never come close to having. It was so good that I actually thought it might have been a legitimate Nintendo release for a split second. Well, this game might have actually been too good. This trailer was released 1 month before the release of Pokemon Sun and Moon version. It's possible that Nintendo and Game Freak didn't want to have to compete with a ROM hack. I mean, to be fair, I don't think Sun and Moon were in any real danger of losing sales to Pokemon Prism version, but honestly, in October 2016, personally, I was more excited for Pokemon Prism version. I mean, it looked awesome. Whatever the reason was, Pokemon Prism version got a cease and desist order from Nintendo in December of 2016. As far as I know, Pokemon Prism version is the only ROM hack that has ever gotten a cease and desist. Dear Sir, unauthorized use of Nintendo intellectual property. That's a conversation starter if I've ever heard one. We act on behalf of Nintendo of America Incorporated and Nintendo Corporation Ltd. Blah blah blah. Nintendo understands that you are a fan of its original products and Pokemon franchise. Whilst this is appreciated, it unfortunately does not alter Nintendo's important role to ensure that all of its valuable intellectual property is fully protected and that there is no use made of any of its intellectual property rights without proper supervision and authorization. Nintendo appreciates the dedication and passion of its fan base, but Nintendo has also expanded substantial resources and effort in developing, maintaining, and protecting the Pokemon franchise, as well as the goodwill it has achieved with the consuming public. This was actually the main reason I thought that Nintendo might take something like this down. Sure, most ROM hacks are perfectly okay, but imagine if a fan made a Pokemon game with something inappropriate in it, for example. parents or other consumers may or may not know the difference. They may or may not know that this is an actual Nintendo product because it's using the Pokemon name, and could just go on their day assuming, okay, Pokemon is not appropriate for my kids or something like that. That's the one thing that comes to my mind. We trust that you now better understand our client's position. Nintendo has therefore instructed us to write to you with the intent that this matter be resolved quickly and amicably. In order to do so, Nintendo requires the following actions and undertakings from you and anyone else who may be involved in the conduct we have identified. So basically, here was Nintendo's demands. Refrain from providing a downloadable file for Pokemon Prism and immediately cease any farther work on the game. No later than the 6th of January 2017, remove access to all downloadable files for Pokemon Brown and or Region Adventures, and any other game owned and or controlled by you, which uses any of Nintendo's intellectual properties. Immediately disable public access to the servers hosting Pokemon Prism, Pokemon Brown, and Pokemon Region Adventures, and any other game owned and or controlled by you which uses Nintendo's intellectual property. Confirm in writing to us when the steps above have been undertaken, including details on the steps you've taken, and undertake to immediately cease and refrain in the future from using any of Nintendo's intellectual property in respects of the games to create any other video games or otherwise without Nintendo's prior written express approval. Given the pending proposed date for the launch of Pokemon Prism, we ask you respond to this letter by December 23rd, oh that's my birthday, 2016, and advise whether you agree to Nintendo's request as set out above. So I'm no lawyer, but from what I understand here, all Nintendo has asked is for CoolBoyMan to take down Pokemon Prism version and all his other ROM hacks, and no other legal action will be taken. He won't be sued. I don't even think he'd have to go to court. So while it does totally suck, I get it, it's pretty fair from what I understand. So for a little while, it looked like this was the end of Pokemon Prism version. But it wasn't. CoolBoyMan, whose name we found out is Adam V, said, quote, "I absolutely will not go underground and defy the cease and desist. Besides, the game was leaked by someone anyway." Wait, what? So apparently, Adam completely complied with the cease and desist. He took down the trailer, stopped working on the game, and he did not release the game. Another group online called Rainbow Devs finished the project and leaked it online without Adam's consent. Right. So that's the official story. Is that really what happened? If the game got enough attention to get Nintendo's attention, then sure, I guess someone out there who really wanted the game to come out could have leaked it. But I mean, come on. One way or another, the pretty much complete version of the game was released. Now, why did Nintendo hammer down so hard on this game? Well, it's important to note that Nintendo had been taking down quite a few fan projects that infringed on their IPs around this time. Pokemon Prism version may have just been part of that. However, it's possible that Nintendo did see Pokemon Prism version as a threat to Sun and Moon, or, more likely, a threat to Gold and Silver version that were released on the Virtual Console for the 3DS later in 2017. It sounds weird that they would consider a ROM hack as competition, but I mean, it's possible, specifically as competition to Gold and Silver version. It probably didn't help that some people were able to get Pokemon Prism to run on a hacked 3DS, and then also got it to show up that they were playing Pokemon Prism version on Street Pass. So yeah, look, I understand both perspectives. From Adam's perspective, he'd been working on this game for 9 years. To be told by Nintendo to shut it down right before it was almost done really sucks, especially when realistically, this game probably isn't going to hurt anything. However, from Nintendo's perspective, their IPs are all they've got, and they absolutely have to protect them at all costs. It's obvious that Nintendo consoles haven't been as powerful as its competitors since the GameCube days. Whether that's on purpose or not is another debate, but with Nintendo always coming out with the underdog consoles, the one thing they have that keeps people's interest is their IPs. They've got Mario, they've got Pokemon, they've got Zelda. The competitors don't have those IPs, that's Nintendo's advantage. Nintendo has to protect those IPs more than its competitors do so it can keep that edge. That being said, did Nintendo make the right call attempting to take down Pokemon Prism version? I don't know. I mean, legally they're completely in the clear, but look at Sonic Mania. Instead of sending a cease and desist order, Sega hired several of the people making popular Sonic fan games to help make the Sonic Mania game, which ended up being fantastic. Not that Sega is a model company or anything like that, it just makes me think, what if Nintendo had hired this guy and some others to make a new retro-style Pokemon game for 3DS or Switch, or both, that has all 893 Pokemon in it and is compatible with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and Sword and Shield, and Pokemon Home? I mean, why not? Unfortunately, that's not what Nintendo decided. But maybe one day. At least we can see that Nintendo acknowledged that Adam was just a huge Pokemon fan, so maybe one day they'd be willing to work with some of these people who are passionate enough to work on projects like this. So where are Adam V and Pokemon Prism version now? Well, Adam seems to be working on bigger and better projects now, which is great. Pokemon Prism version is still in the hands of Rainbow devs and apparently got an update in August of 2020, so I guess Nintendo sorta gave up on it. I haven't played this newer version, but I have played the near complete version that was leaked after the cease and desist, and I actually got a physical version from the slimy world of reproduction cards. It wasn't my proudest purchase, but at the time I really wanted a physical version of the game, so I bought it. Overall, it's pretty nice. The transparent blue shell is unique and gives the game its own sort of identity compared to the other Gen 1 and Gen 2 games. Although I feel like a transparent indigo color would have looked a little bit better. The game uses a battery to save, just like the other Gen 1 and Gen 2 games, which is a real bummer because eventually you're going to lose your save file. The case it came with looks good on the front and the spine, although I'm not too happy with the fake Nintendo seal. The back of the case is mostly okay as well, although it's a bit of a shame they reused the fire red trainer art instead of having something new or original from the actual game. But it does have some screenshots from Pokemon Prism version, so all in all, this is pretty good. Now, I wouldn't recommend getting a reproduction cart of this game. You're probably just going to end up having battery issues. However, I definitely recommend loading this onto a flash cart or playing it on your computer or phone. Even if you aren't usually into Gen 2 ROM hacks, this one is really good. In my opinion, it's worth your time. From customizing your character to discovering new gen Pokemon, new made up Pokemon, all in a Game Boy Color style game, I think this game can really scratch the nostalgia itch while at the same time giving you an all new experience. Pokemon Prism version came and went, but I wanted to make sure this crazy story wasn't forgotten, and hopefully expose this game to someone who's never heard of it before. If you've never played this game, I highly recommend it. It's one of the best ROM hacks out there. I also hope that Nintendo would consider doing something like what Sega did. I'm telling you, a retro-styled Pokemon game would be so cool. Do you think so? Tell me in the comments. I would totally pay $60 for something like that on the Switch. Well, that's all I have to say about Pokemon Prism version for now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.
I define my direction and cast my light in time that shines my protection. I shed blood just to rhyme in perfection and move at God's speed, no time for reflection.